Yo guys, what's going on? We got an EX8 ruling video for you guys. Sorry about the delay for content, just been busy with testing for a new format as well as preparing for Worlds, because that's happening for me soon. But yeah, so as usual, we're gonna just talk about like rulings and stuff, a little bit more complicated stuff with some of the new archetypes. Index is definitely not like a comprehensive guide, just because like I'm sure there's something I missed, so if you have something that came up in your testing, because this is just what's come up in my testing, just let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those as quickly as possible. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting with Gallantmon. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the order resolution on how you can kind of do things with something like Gallantmon X. So let's just say, I don't know, you've got a stack like this. And then let's say I'm at 0 memory, it's my turn, and then what I can do is go ahead and digivolve Gallantmon X over Gallantmon for a cost of 1, get my draw and whatnot. And as I digivolve him, I've got a bunch of 1 digivolving effects. So I've got the first one, I've got the second one there, and then I also have the staccato because it gains the 1 digivolving blitz. Since the memory's over 1 on my opponent's side, I can go ahead and declare an attack. So you can kind of order this in 2 different ways that'll kind of change the results of how you do things. So first, let's say I resolve this 1 digivolving from the first part of Gallant X to boost him plus 4,000 and then minus 4,000 to something, since I've got Gallantmon underneath, fulfills that condition. So then I can go ahead and boost him 4, minus 4 to, let's say, this Gallantmon, it'll go ahead and die. Digivolving for the second part, where it says delete one of your opponent's 10,000 or DP or lower, and then if it didn't delete, trash top card security and this Digimon unsuspend. So then in this case, I would go ahead and delete something, nothing gets trashed, and I don't unsuspend. In the case of, let's say the board was only just this Gallantmon, I could go ahead minus 4, and then in this case, you would trash a card because nothing is being deleted, and then it unsuspends, but you actually just waste the unsuspend here. And then we would go back to the third 1 digivolving trigger, which is Blitz. So then we'd go ahead and swing, and then the one attacking here would trigger of Gigimon, as well as the other one attacking of Gallant X, the first part where it says again plus 4,000 minus 4,000. So I get that part, I draw a card here, and then I'd go ahead and check security on 2 checks on 20k, I guess. But if we order that a little bit differently, so let's say in this case, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, digivolve this, but then we're going to use the blitz first. So we're going to use 1 digivolving blitz, so we're going to declare an attack at security. Now that we've declared an attack at security, the 2 news triggers are the 1 attacking effects of Gallantmon, which is the first plus 4,000 minus 4,000, and then the draw. So then we can go ahead and do this, draw a card, plus 4,000 minus 4,000. Oh, and then also I forgot the previous part, I would have gained the memory here, so I'll go ahead and do that for this example. But yeah, you do have the 1 near your opponent's Digimon or delete to gain a memory. But so we go ahead and draw a card, we go ahead and boost them 4, minus 4 to something. So let's say we kill this Gallantmon again, and then we'll go ahead and use the second part, and then of course we can gain the memory here, 1, 2, and then also off staccato, since those are the news triggers, and then the now we go back to the 1 digivolving effects, since those are now the most recent pending triggers. So then we can do minus 4,000 plus 4,000 again, and then also do the deleting effect. So pop 1 since something was deleted, and then we do the same check like normal. In the case, just as before, if let's say there's only 1 thing on the board, we'd go ahead and do this. We would go, okay, I'm going to digivolve for 1, draw Blitz first, so Blitz, declare an attack. When I declare an attack, draw a card. When I declare an attack, minus 4, plus 4, since something was deleted, gain the 3 memory. And then now, since the board is clear, I can go ahead and unsuspend and trash a security, and then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 checks here, 1, 2, and then now I can actually just swing for game because I regained turn and I was able to get the unsuspend. I didn't actually waste it this time because I resolved the 1 attacking first to kill the Gallantmon that was on field, instead of using the 1 digivolving end of attack to kill it. So that kind of, depending on how many things your opponent has on board, kind of got to take that into account, but that's just one example of kind of how the order of that will change the outcome. Okay, then let's talk about Medieval Gallantmon, since this is a Gallantmon archetype card. There's a couple really cool things about this card. First of all, it's conditioned to when it would be played. You can suspend 2 Digimon and reduce the play cost by 4. The thing about this is you do have to suspend exactly 2. So let's say, for instance, it's my opponent's turn. They've got this in hand. They can go ahead and suspend these 2 Digimon to be able to play this for a minus cost of 4, so for a cost of 7, putting me to 4. And then since a Digimon was played, which it does see itself, so anytime you play this card, or anything is played by an effect or just normally played, you can trigger its 1 Digivolving effect. So in this instance, by suspending these 2 Digimon, I was able to play it, and then since I played it, I can use the 1 Digivolving and popping a 8,000 or lower, but since there's 2 other suspended Digimon, I can boost this by 6,000, so I can actually delete a 14,000 or a lower Digimon. So if my opponent does do this route, he can go ahead and delete either of these 2 Digimon. Since the memory is now on my side, Gallantmon's all turns is not active. It's only when I'm at 0 or less. So it is actually affected by the effects of my opponent's Digimon currently. So in this case, Medieval Gallant would be able to just delete the Gallantmon X here. Okay, so then what if in the case of you trying to play Medieval Gallantmon, you can't actually suspend 2 Digimon? So let's say it's my turn, I'm starting at 3, I've got this card in my hand. My opponent has a Magnamon X that has triggered its 1 Digivolving effect to make itself immune last turn. So let's say this is immune and then just a regular old Vmon here. So I'm going to declare I'm going to try to play this from my hand, and then when it would be played, by suspending 2, I can reduce the play cost by 4. However, it's going to try to suspend 2, but because I cannot fulfill the condition, the trigger condition of suspending 2 cards exactly, this will just be played with no reduction, paying 11, and nothing else will be suspended. But then, of course, in this case, we can trigger the alterns, Digivolving effect, to then suspend the Vmon. Of course, this thing's immune, so we can suspend the Vmon, pop it, and stuff like that. But in this case, you can either only suspend 0 or 2 Digimon. For things that are like immune, such as Magnamon X, maybe Gallantmon X, or even in the case of if your opponent just had a single Digimon on play, like on board, you can't like attempt to suspend just the 1 to maybe like Alliance into it or something. You have to suspend exactly 2 to basically resolve the rest of the effect. The other scenario I want to talk about is what if our opponent has double Psychmon on the board, or double reduction floodgate, basically. So let's say there's 2 scenarios to this. Let's say in the scenario where I have enough memory to actually play this Medieval Gallantmon. So let's say I'm at 3 here. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to play this when it would be played by suspending 2 Digimon, reduce the play cost by 4. I can go ahead and suspend 2 Digimon, so that part is fulfilled. So then I do the rest of the effect, but the only unfortunate thing is because Psychmon is here, I can't actually reduce the play cost, but I will get to be able to play this for the full 11, putting my opponent to 8, using this effect, popping one of them, and vortexing, swinging into the other. So still a pretty okay play. What if in this case where I'm my opponent's got double Psychmon, let's say I can't actually pay the full cost of Medieval Gallantmon. Let's say I did some other action to where now I'm at 0 memory, it's my turn. I'm going to attempt to play this, and then when it would be played, I'm going to try to suspend both of these Digimon. But because I can't reduce this, and because I can't actually play Medieval Gallant from my hand, you will basically resolve this with nothing happening, and since it was revealed in the hand, it will just go back to the hand. But in this case, you wouldn't even be able to suspend these Psychmons because you can't actually play Medieval Gallantmon, if that makes sense. So it's not actually being played, so you can't actually suspend things. And so that's the kind of unfortunate part if you find yourself in a scenario where you can't actually pay the full cost of Medieval Gallantmon. For instance, under a reduction floodgate, you just won't be able to do anything, and it'll stay in your hand. And then I want to remind you guys that this actually triggers off of anything playing. So then let's say, okay, it's to go ahead and start my turn, draw a hatch, whatever. So then let's say, okay, well, I want to try to build up my board again. Let's say I go ahead and play this Gallantmon for a cost of 3. Playing this Gallantmon will then trigger its on play, as well as Medieval Gallantmon's all turns. In this case, since it's my turn, I'll go ahead and resolve this first, so I can go ahead and reveal 4 cards. cards, search a Tocado, and don't mention that, don't pay mind to that this is the BT19 Tocado, but we can go ahead and grab those, put these bottom of the deck, whatever, and then this will trigger being able to then just delete the Gallantmon, or I guess suspending it and then deleting it as well. So that's really good. Depending on whose turn it is, that could have a significant outcome. Let's say, for example, so then in that example, let's say it's my opponent's turn, and this guy was already on board, and the previous turn I had used this one Digivolving effect of Gallantmon X and resolved it to gain the float ability since I had the Gallantmon underneath. And then let's say my opponent just does something like a, I don't know, like a slam a Crimson Mode Ace for 8. And then, sorry, putting me to 5, and then since it's now over to my side of the memory gauge, this thing is affected, and then since there's no Gallantmon or X antibody, let's just say this is base 12k, so then this can go ahead and delete it since it deletes the 15,000 or lower. So in this case, Gallantmon X will be deleted, triggering the on deletion to then play out, let's say, this Gallantmon. Since it is still my opponent's turn, even though the memory gauge is passed, not everything is finished resolved, this gets played, this will trigger Gallantmon, Medieval Gallantmon, as well as Gallantmon to search. But since the Medieval Gallantmon turn, like players, it is their turn, this will trigger, since something was played, activate this Digimon's one Digivolving, suspend one Digimon. So let's say they go ahead and suspend this, and then delete something 8,000 or lower, and then of course you can boost this up to 11,000. They're going to go ahead and delete the Gallantmon, and then since the Gallantmon left the field and that on play was still pending, you do not get to resolve it, and I don't get my search in that instance. So this is also kind of a really powerful floodgate effect to prevent your opponent from getting searches or values off their scramble cards as well. It's really, really good stuff. So that is Gallantmon. Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about is going to be deep savers, specifically just like the Plesiomon and how it works with this Aegisdramon effect. So kind of the thing here is this Plesiomon has this effect where it says on Digivolve you may play level 4 lower Digimon card from its sources without paying the cost. And then the second part is when any of your Digimon is played or Digivolve, if any of them have the Deep Savers trait, 2 of your Digimon may DNA into a Deep Savers in your hand. Okay, so obviously the DNA target is going to be Aegisdramon here, and this for this example it's going to require Plesiomon plus a level 5 or higher with Seedramon in his name. So let's say it's my turn. Let's say I go ahead and pay the 3 memory and Digivolve this Plesiomon, and then you can actually, because this was Digivolved, you can trigger either of these two effects because it does see itself, because it was a Digimon that was Digivolved. You can trigger either of those in any order. So like in this instance, let's say you already had this on field and then you could just Digivolve this. The way you could resolve this is either using the Digivolving effect or the Your Turn effect first. If you do the Digivolving effect, you get to then play out, like in this case, a Lannamon, and then Lannamon will do her effect, reveal top 3, tucking something underneath. So then let's just say as the bottom of any of your Digimon Digivolution cards, take any aquatic or sea animal, and then let's just say we put this here, and then bottom deck those, and then now the newest thing would be Yao, but let's say we just pass on this for now, and then we could go ahead and use the Your Turn effect of, since something was played, we can go ahead and DNA Digivolve into Aegisdramon, which this is Plesiomon plus level 5 or higher with Seedramon, and then, you know, resolve Seedramon's, Aegisdramon's effect. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can do that. The second part would be, like, let's say if you don't have this on field already, let's say your stack is just something like this. Let's say it's just like Lannamon, Mega Seedramon, etc. So let's say we do the same thing, Digivolve Plesiomon, and then we do the when Digivolving effect first, which is just going to be playing out the Lannamon, then the Lannamon, as well as the Your Turn effect will trigger. The thing about this Your Turn effect is the trigger condition is just when any of your Digimon are played or Digivolve. So it's satisfied by any of these actions. The part that's important is that you can only resolve it if any of those Digimon that you're playing or Digivolving into have the Deep Savers trait. So because we don't need them to be Deep Savers when the Lannamon is played, we can wait on this and resolve it a little bit later. So bear with me. So first of all, we use the when Digivolving, play out the Lannamon. Now the newest trigger is going to be Lannamon plus Plesiomon once per turn, Your Turn effect. We're going to use Lannamon first, again revealing top 3. So let's just say we put this Mega Seedramon underneath, bottom decking the rest. Now the newest trigger is going to be Yao, which says when an effect adds Digivolution cards to any of your Digimon with Aqua, Sea Animal, whatever, and this is an aquatic via that rule box there. Then we can suspend this Tamer, and then one of those Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card with a Aqua or Sea Animal and its trace -1. So then we can go ahead and suspend this, and then we've got this Aegisdramon in our hand. It is aquatic, so then we can go ahead and digivolve this for a cost of -1, so for 2. So Digivolve, draw, etc. And then the news trigger here would be on play 1 Digivolve, 1 of my Digimon unsuspended. Doesn't really do anything. And then now we go back to this your turn effect since something was played, and then now it does have the Deep Savers trait. Aegisdramon does have the Deep Savers trait. We can then resolve this, DNA these two, Digivolve into our Aegisdramon, and then Aegisdramon's effect, return 14 play cost worth of Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So let's say in this case we just get rid of this Gallantmon. Oh, and I also didn't mention this MedievalGallantmon. He actually wouldn't be able to interrupt us during this at all because we still have new triggers. So he would be able to use this all turns effect as soon as the Landamon was played, but once Landamon was played, we got to add something to its source, which then triggered Yao, which then let us Digivolve, which then could also trigger the Plesiomon again, so then we can kind of overwrite him being able to use this effect to pop us, and then by the time he resolves, so then let's say I go ahead and bottom deck this MedievalGallant, and then we get to play 12 play cost worth of DS Digimon without paying the cost. So then let's just say we've got, I guess we don't really have a cool number to use because this isn't 5, so we can really only just do like a Plesiomon here. So let's just play Plesiomon out for free, no on plays or anything, and then yeah, so then now our opponent could resolve the MedievalGallantmon, but it is at the bottom of the deck. So really cool stuff. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is Aegisdramon's all turns. This effect is pretty crazy. While you're at 1 or more memory, none of your Digimon with the DS traits are affected by your opponent's Digimon. So like, let's say if I'm at 3, it's my turn, I'm at 1 or more. So in this case, let's say this is my field, my opponent's got this plus the Crimson mode in hand. I can go ahead and swing security, and they can go ahead and blast Digivolve utilizing Crimson's effect to delete 15,000 play cost, or sorry, of DP worth of my opponent's Digimon, or my Digimon. So in this case, let's say he targets the Aegisdramon. However, because I have 1 or more memory, it is unaffected by the effects of my opponent's Digimon. So this blast mechanic here won't actually do anything. The Crimson mode won't be able to pop anything. It'll go ahead and check security as per usual. Okay, if I'm at, let's say, it's my opponent's turn, it's 3 on their side. Now, while we have 1 or less memory, none of your opponent's Digimons on plays effects can activate. So then let's say in this case, let's say he just doesn't have MedievalGallantmon, just because, just for the sake of this example, let's say they go ahead and play out the Gallantmon Crimson mode because it is an on play. And let's say they're at like 9 or something. So let's say they play this for 8. They pay 1, go down to 1. They cannot utilize this on play to delete anything because of the Aegisdramon effect, where it says their on plays cannot activate. Okay, what if in the case of my opponents at 3, for example, and then they slam this Crimson mode, and then they put me over to 5? Now they can activate their when Digivolving / on play fix, since they're playing it from their hand, to delete 15,000 DP worth of Digimon. However, they can activate the on play, but now because I have 1 or more, it's unaffected by the effects of Crimson mode. So effectively, this card makes it to where if they're hard playing anything that like remove something on play and it's passing turn, they literally can't do anything, because if they play it while they're at 8 or more, they can't use the on play. But then if they play it when they're 8 or less passing turn, they can't affect your Digimon. So it's just a really powerful effect there. And then if you're at the sweet spot of, let's say it's 1 on either player's turn, if my opponent passes me 1 somehow, or I'm at 1 on my turn, then you get both effects, because it says you are at 1 or more memory, and you're also at 1 or less memory because you're exactly at 1. So now they can't use their on plays and you're unaffected. So it's just like it's a double whammy there. But yeah, Aegisdramon, very cool. And then in a similar vein to the Plesiomon DNA, or I guess Deep Savers, is going to be Bolt About and kind of the Nightmare Soldier archetype. The really only thing I want to mention here is you just have to be a little bit careful on how you resolve your effects if you are playing this deck. So let's say in this case, I've got something like this Myotismon, or I guess just like double Myotismon on board. let's say it's my turn. The Aegisdramon has an effect where it says, once per turn, your turn, when you play or digivolve a Digimon, just like the Plesiomon, if any of them have Nightmare Soldiers, not Nature Spirits, to your Digimon may DNA into a Digimon card, blah blah blah, with Nightmare Soldiers, and then it may attack. So it's the exact same as the Plesiomon, pretty much. And then, I also I think I forgot to mention that in my last example, but you guys get the gist of it. It's able to attack. So then in this case, let's say I have this Piedmon in my hand, Piedmon Ace. So what I can do here is just digivolve this for a cost of 3, and then the Piedmon Ace, when digivolving, as well as the Aegisdramon, trigger at the same time. So if I do Aegisdramon first to DNA, so I'll go ahead and DNA these two immediately into Bolt About. The newest trigger now will be Bolt About, so then I get to digivolve 3 everything, and then all of their, one of my opponent's Digimon, so let's say I just digivolve 3 the Gallantmon, and then all of their Digimon get minus 6,000, and then I get to play stuff from sources. So then what I could do here is play out 10 play cost, so I could then play out the Piedmon to then on play, which triggers at the same time as this MedievalGallant. I'd also gain 5 from Overflow. But then I can do one of their Digimon gets minus 2,000 4 times. So then I could go ahead and apply that to MedievalGallant, so minus 8, and then everything's minus 6. So this actually just dies immediately. And then also this is mid attack if I did decide to attack with the effect, but in this case let's just say I didn't. So then you could actually kill the MedievalGallant before it resolves. But then in this case you wouldn't get the first Piedmon that you had initially digivolved into, if that makes sense. The other way you could resolve this is just by doing Piedmon first. So in that case, let's say I forgot exactly what memory I was at, but let's just say I'm at 3. So in that case, you could go ahead and digivolve Piedmon using this one first to minus 2,000 4 times. So then we can go ahead and do, let's say, minus 2 here, making it 5k, minus 4 here, making it, 6k? Sorry, 7k, can't do math. And then we can go ahead and do, I guess, another, I guess just put all 3 on this. The other 3 on here, making it 5. And then we could go ahead and do Aegisdramon, digivolve here, go Bolt About, effect, minus digivolve 3 this, minus 6 to everything, so these two actually just end up dying. And then this is 5k, and then we can play out 10 play cost worth of things, so then play out the Piedmon, and then do a minus 8 here, killing it, and then again, same thing before its effect resolves. But in this case, we got to get the extra Piedmon trigger because we waited on the DNA for the Aegisdramon here. But again, you could also, if you did decide to attack with this, so let's say in this case, you still had the same board, we went ahead and digivolved this, used Piedmon's effect, did some DP minus, used Aegisdramon's effect, DNA here into Bolt About, and then if we wanted to attack, this attack would happen first because you need to finish resolving the Aegisdramon effect. So then that DNA Digimon may attack, so then we can go ahead and declare the attack here. And then now, since the attack and the digivolve happen off of the same trigger, we can actually use Bolt Abouts when digivolving as well as the Aegisdramons when attacking at the same time. So in this case, we might not want to use this because we'll have to pop our own ace, but I guess we could play out like the Aegisdramon, for example. So in this case, we could go, okay, devolve 3 something, minus 6 to the board, then play 10 play cost worth of things. So since these two effects are still pending, we'll just go ahead and take out one of them. Play this. This doesn't have an on play, but it does see itself being played, so if you had like another a Piedmon or something set up, you could DNA again. But then we can go ahead and use this by deleting something else, pop this to unsuspend, and then since still our turn, we can get an extra attack basically. And then obviously, since something's deleted, trash top card of our opponent's security, so then trash top card, we'd go ahead and check on security, and then we could actually just finish the game off of that swing from the Aegisdramon. So really cool stuff there. But yeah, just got to be a little bit careful on how things resolve. Remember, with the Aegisdramon as well as the Plesiomon, because it's the same thing, if you do decide to attack, you need to do that first, and then your digivolving effects resolve with your when attacking effects basically mid-attack. And then also in that previous example, I think I forgot to mention the Piedmon Ace's all turns effect. When something's deleted, you may play a level 4 or lower Nature Spirits from trash. So then again, let's say we had done that same exact combo. We had gone ahead and we DNA'd, and then we're mid-attack, and then we can go ahead and do this effect. de-digivolve 3 minus 6,000 to the board, so this is still 1k, and then play out something. So let's say we go ahead and play the Piedmon. Piedmon's on play will trigger minus 8,000 here. This dies. Since something died, we get to trash top security. We then get to play another Nightmare Soldier from the trash, so then we get to do on play. This gets an on play if there's nothing on our opponent's board, so nothing's really relevant here. And then we can use my Aegisdramon to pop this and unsuspend. So yeah, sorry about that. Didn't forget to mention the Piedmon's effect as well. Okay, and then the last deck I wanted to talk about here is going to be Rocks. Specifically kind of against an example where our opponent has a Mirage Gallantmon or something to interrupt us, and then how we can resolve our tamers and stuff to kind of work around that. So let's say it's my turn. Since I've got the memory setter close, I'm going to start at 3. And then let's say I go ahead and promote here. This Gallantmon has a start a main phase effect, and close has one. So let's say in this case, I want to do close first, gaining a memory since my opponent has Digimon. And then Gallantmon's effect start a main phase by trashing 1 mineral or rock trait card in any of your Digimon's Digivolution cards. So since we've just got the Gallantmon, we're going to do itself. Reveal top 3, amongst them add a mineral rock trait, and then or place one such in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, and then you can either top or bottom deck the rest. So let's say in this case, what I'm going to do here is trash the Tumblemon and then use its effect, revealing 3. So we're going to go ahead and take, let's say, Pyramidmon here, and then we're going to go ahead and bottom deck the rest. And then now, since we added a card and a card was trashed, all off by the same effect, Tumblemon as well as Mirage Gallantmon as well as this close are going to trigger all at the same time, but since it's my turn, I get to resolve them in any order. So then let's say I'm going to use close first. I'm going to stick a, I believe it's just any rock or mineral card, trait card from my trash as its bottom Digivolution cards, so then I can look through my trash here, and then let's say I want to go ahead and put, I don't know, something like this Tsunarizamon, so sticking this underneath the Gallantmon here, and then we can go ahead and use Tumblemon's effect to gain a memory. And then in this case, our opponent will go ahead and resolve their Mirage Gallantmon last, since it's their turn. I've got 7 in hand, so they're only going to gain the 1 memory. One way you can kind of avoid this is, let's say if you had something like another copy of Gallantmon. Let me just copy this thing. Let's say if you had some sort of weird stack like this, and this was already on the board. So let's say it's my turn. I start at 4 because of this close, and then this thing was already on the board. We can go ahead and do Gallantmon's effect again. So we can go ahead and detach this card to reveal 3. Let's say we do the exact same search, grab the Pyramidmon, and then once again the close as well as the Gallantmon as well as the Mirage will all trigger at the same time. So then let's say we go ahead and do this. Sticking Tsunarizamon once again, and then we're going to go do Gallantmon, since it was trashed from a mineral or rock Digimon, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, so we can go ahead and de-digivolve the Mirage. And then now once we get back to the pending Mirage, since it's not on the field anymore, even though we added a card to our hand, our opponent will not be able to gain the memory since it is no longer on the field. So that's one really cool thing. You can actually kind of play around Mirage Gallantmon, because I freaking hate that card, man. I wish Bandai would shoot it already. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. But yeah, so basically you can kind of order these in a way that kind of lets you deal with the board. So let's say in that case, maybe we can go ahead and go Gogmamon from BT4, and let's say we go ahead and use his Digiburst, because all of these cards don't say they need to be trashed via Digiburst. They just say if they were trashed from a mineral rock, which includes Digiburst. So what we could do here is, let's say we go ahead and use Gogmamon, Digiburst 1, so I'm going to go ahead and trash this Gallantmon, resolving this effect and boosting him 2,000 until the end of our opponent's turn. Then we can resolve this effect to digivolve something, so let's say we go ahead and de-digivolve this card. And actually, I guess this is a bad example since that thing isn't 4 cost. So let's say our opponent had like a Gallantmon. So let's say in the case of this, instead of this Wankun, they just had this sort of setup where we could go ahead and trash this, de-digivolve this, and then we can go ahead and trash this, boost it again, because this Digiburst is not once per turn, it's just to activate main. And then resolving Tsunarizamon's effect, you get to then delete something with play cost 4 lower, so then we can go ahead and delete that Gallantmon. So really cool stuff there. Another thing you can do is, let's say, okay, we have both of these active. Let's say we go ahead and digivolve into Pyramidmon. So let's say it's my turn still. We can go ahead and digivolve this for 3, so, or for 4, putting our opponent to 3, and then draw, and then his 1 digivolving as well as the closest effect will digivolve, or will activate at the same time, because this says when any of your Digimon digivolve into a mineral rock, spend this tamer and place 2 cards with the mineral rock trait from your trash to the bottom source. So what we can do here is, let's say in this case we've got a bigger stack, so maybe something like this level 5, we've got Sunariza, Landramon or something, so maybe something like this. So then what we can do is on Digivolve, I'm going to go ahead and stick the materials underneath what's close. So then we can go ahead and do this, placing 2 cards. So it's any 2 cards. This includes the Digi-Egg, because it doesn't say Digimon cards. It just says cards with the rock trait. And this is a rock, so we can go ahead and stick a Tumblemon, and then let's just say we stick like another Landramon or something. Okay, so then we've resolved close, and then now the second one digivolving trigger, so to speak, is going to be Paramediamon. So then let's say we digivolve into the Paramediamon, and then trashing these 3 to unsuspended, giving it sec +1, and then now since we trash something, close plus these 3 effects will trigger at the same time. So let's say we do the memory first, so gaining a memory, we use Progainemon to digivolve 1, and then we use Landramon to digivolve 1, and then we will gain the 4 back off of overflow, and then now we can go ahead and use close, sticking 1 card underneath it, so then we can actually just use any of the ones we just removed. So let's say we go ahead and stick the Landramon here, and then I'm still sec +1, as well as I did unsuspend, but in this case I was already unsuspended, so it didn't really matter. So let's say we go ahead and declare an attack, and then what we can do is do this effect again. So then we can trash these 3 once again, and then unsuspend it, gain sec +1. So it's currently a 3 checker, and then we can go ahead and resolve these. Devolve 1, devolve 1, pop a 4 cost. So then let's say we go devolve 1, nothing to pop here, but then we can go ahead and check the last 2 security, and then go ahead and swing for game. So really strong stuff. You can I love how you can kind of get your resources back with each of the closes, and then the not once per turn effect of this. And then let's say even if we didn't let's say if we just put our opponent down to like 1 security, and let's say we just pass turn, what you can then do is Paramediamon, at the end of turn, place 3 mineral rocks back underneath them. So then we can just go ahead and get these back immediately, and then we've got the Fragment online, and then we've got the effect for next turn as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for rocks, and I think that's pretty much it for this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's any archetypes or anything out of EX8 I didn't cover, or anything else you're wondering about down in the comment section below. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.